What's up?
Bro, I think we're live, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it pop up right now.
Okay.
There we go. You're on the screen too, bro. All right. Now, who knows if anybody can find us? I think I need to send out a new link to everybody. Dave, what you up to, man? How's your day going?
Man, going pretty good, just chilling. Been having a good day, relaxing, uh, you know, doing what I do.
Good, good, good. Well, while we get started, bro, I'm going to go ahead and send out a link. See if that makes a difference. But let's talk before I do that.
There we
Let's
go.
talk a
There's
little bit
Unk.
about.
What's up, buddy?
All right. Thank you.
Hey, and is it Mawani? Is that your last name, Mawani? Is that how you
And
say it?
Unk615. All right, guys. We thought we lost you for a second. More trouble. More trouble than you guys would believe. But that's okay because that's our first time. Not going to happen again. No, sir. We'll be better.
You should have listened to me. I said exit out of it.
Well, dude, of course I have to say no to your idea, right? And then make it my own idea, and then I can do it. That's how it always works.
All right. I'm glad I got the last name right. Hell yeah.
All right.
I get names right about as often as I change underwear, which is never because I don't wear underwear. So
This is why you guys went live is to hear us talk about our panties. All right, listen. We got the Hawks game, bro.
oh, I'm so excited about this. I love watching Trey Young play, man. He's so good. He's so good. And it's pretty exciting because he played in Oklahoma, so it's always nice to see that interaction that he has with, you know, the common Oklahoma bond.
Yeah, man, for sure. And the Hawks were playing really well before they started playing bad. Like they won 5 games in a row. They beat some good teams, and then they've lost the last 2 games against some not great teams. I mean, the Bulls and the Hornets who they lost to
Yeah.
last. But before that, 5 games in a row, Dave, that gets me pumped up because we know the Hawks are going to be trying to play really good ball, and I want to play good teams right now. I don't want to play shit teams.
Yeah, and I think it's good for our guys to be able to get what we've been talking about since day one is that playoff minutes, and we're seeing this in close games and teams that are the best in the West and teams that are the best in the East, and we're getting out there, and I do feel like it's great basketball to watch. It's basketball we haven't been able to watch in a couple years, and I guess that's probably kind of why we're thinking it's playoff basketball this early in the season is because it kind of feels that way since it's been 2 years since we felt that way.
Yeah, dude, I'm for sure nervous about it. Man, and yeah, you're right. Jang is back. That's right, Unc.
Oh, it looks like we got disconnected here. Is that true?
Oh, I know. I don't know. Dang, lost you. All right,
What about Moani? Do you hear us?
but Jang is back. I don't think that's what Unc was saying. I was misreading it because I'm sitting a little far back from the screen. But well, we can talk about Usman. Do you think Usman's gonna get some playing time, Dave?
Man, I listen. I think Usman Jang is definitely going to be um, getting some playing time right now. When it comes down to it, Usman Jang is getting healthy. He's playing in the G League. He dominated his last game that he played in the G League. I think he scored like 20 points, gobbled up some rebounds. So Usman Jang's on the road back to getting playing time, and he will work himself back in the starting lineup, or not starting lineup, in the rotation. If you look at what Coach T talks about the rotation, and he talks about players losing their spots in the rotation, he always talks about them earning it back. And when a player goes down like Usman Jang has, listen, he's going to come back. He's going to be healthier. He's going to be better. He worked on a lot of his upper body strength when he was out, so he's going to be a little bit stronger, ready to go.
Yeah, I saw that highlight from the G League, and I know it's G League. Don't get too excited, yada yada yada. But there are some things you can take away from it, and he's like the smoothness of which he handles the ball and attack the basket is improved. So I think
Absolutely, man.
he has a lot to offer the the varsity, as we call the Thunder these days, right? Like that's what it feels like, man. It's like
Yeah.
JV and varsity. So
Well,
yeah,
and
man, I'll come with you, man. I'm hoping we get to see him tonight for sure.
Yeah, and Unc, I want to say, like, for me, I really want to see Usman Jang get into that rotation because of the way that he's able to separate his defender getting to the hole from his defender getting to the hole. He's really next level, and he fits this system so well. So a lot of people call him the project child, project kid, whatever you guys want to call him. I don't really care. To me, he's not a project. He's already has all the attributes that you want for an NBA player. Um, but because we are stacked the way we are allowed to take a little bit extra time with Usman Jang or Jalen Williams or some of these other guys. It's important that these guys stay healthy and continue to stay healthy. So utilizing that G League to me is exactly what everybody needs to be doing in the NBA anyways. Is if you look at the way the Major League Baseball uses their minor league system, I feel like that has to do with what the Thunder are kind of doing. Like use that system to the players that need it for more time. You think about Aaron Judge. He was in the system for like 5 years. Did he need all those 5 years? No, not necessarily, but it was better for him in the long run. And getting those extra reps and getting those extra time, to me, that's what this is all about. Like these guys, if Usman Jang spends 9 months in the G League this year, so be it. Like when I say 9 months, it's from the time that it starts to the time that it ends, it's about 9 months from the season. So you look at Usman Jang, if he does that, I can't help but think that's going to be good for him.
Yeah, dude, and I agree, man. Like, Dang does all the dirty work, man, and I agree. And that's the key. Is
Yes,
you want the
absolutely,
young
Morning.
guys, you want the young guys to do that, to be committed to doing the little things, and then, like, obviously he's got an incredible amount of talent, and that's what we want to see eventually. But early on, this team needs players who are doing the little things. Before he got hurt, he was knocking down threes and he was getting to the basket. We like that on our team, and like there's a little bit of like confusion, like him and Baisley. I mean, are they having to pick between the two? I think they bring different skill sets, so
Yeah,
I don't think it necessarily has to be one or the other. Like Jang went out and Baisley barely played.
yeah,
Jang could be back and Baisley could play a lot, and it really isn't. I mean, I understand why that seems confusing, but it's all about, in the end,
yeah.
for me, Baisley's starting to do that dirty work, and if he can do that dirty work, then he brings a skill set that's completely different and at the same time complementary.
Yeah, and welcome to all the new people that are popping on here. As you guys have questions, throw them up there.
Yeah, man,
Um,
that's what this is
I'm,
about.
yeah, and I want to get back to talking about the Hawks game because tonight I'm really excited about the matchup of Trey Young and
Trey Young.
Dort. But you know what? I feel like Trey Young is going to want. He's going to want somebody else other than Dort on him. So he's going to be calling for that screen often. Now, this is what gets me excited.
Switch,
I love
switch.
J Dub,
Yeah.
absolutely love J Dub, but he's a rookie. So I feel like Trey Young is going to go after the rookie. And if that's the case, I'm telling you guys right now, J Dub is going to put Trey Young in shackles or whatever you guys want to call him. He's going to put him in handcuffs and he's going to make him work so hard it's not going to be even funny.
Yeah, man. And like Dave said, we're excited that you've joined us. This is our first live stream, so we're figuring out all the details. I hope that if you got there early and you saw us fucking around with all this stuff, like,
Touching all the buttons.
yeah, you stuck with us. Thank you. It means a lot. You're there day one. But yeah, this Hawks game is exciting. Obviously, the Trey Young factor is exciting. But man, for the way that I look at this team's journey, everybody's
Mm.
saying one thing about this team right now is we have the easiest schedule in the NBA.
The second half for the West.
Right. But these next three games are hard.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm excited about that. Like I want to really, really fight. And when you look at this team too, the games that are easy, we're not winning, right? So like if you look at the worst teams in the West as far as record, the worst teams in the East as far as record, we've lost to them all.
Mm.
So there's really no easy game for this team. So I look at it like every game is a challenge. We're not going to ever say, oh, that's an automatic one. And then we got to figure out how to do the little things. And that's what gives us a chance each night. But I mean, that's what turns us on about this team.
Yeah, and it's Unk just said it. It's that 1.5 dog tonight. Like to me, like there's so much energy and there's so much passion and there's so much desire to play hard with these guys. And that's how I feel, man. I watch each one of them play and I can't help but watch this mentality that Kenny Hustle has and seeing how he's been able to help these young guys all have this mentality, watching Dort have this mentality that he's helped J Dub have and Shea with this mentality of how he gets to the hole and attacks. Like these guys are passing on their knowledge to the younger guys, and I can't help but get excited about what's happening.
Yeah, dude. And for sure, if we can go 2-1 in this time, we'll be really happy. But Dave Dave will deserve extra credit for calling the 10-win month out, bro.
Well,
So we're hoping for that
it's
because it's a little feather.
I want to say this. To me, it wasn't that big of a call because if you look at January, right, we got to get a 10-win month in January, and then we got to get a 10-month win in March to really have an opportunity to get to the playoffs. And so for me, I was looking at it, I was like, we got to get 20 wins in these 2 months. And in order for us to do that, this team's got to play good starting January 1st. And, of course, I mean, that's what everybody hopes for. But to see that this team stepped it up and knowing that this is what they had to do to get to the playoffs and understanding that same mentality of 10 wins this next time that we get a chance to have a full schedule, it'll be another 10 wins. And I can't help but think that February is looking really good with 3 games against Houston and just some other powder cake teams. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like this is the time that a lot of teams that we're going to be playing that are going to be trying to tank, that don't want to win. And to me, that's exactly where we want to be, peaking at this moment, having an easier schedule against teams that are trying to tank.
Now, like a lot of the second half of these recent years, we've seen this team get really, really young, get really, really inexperienced, and find ourselves in spots where we're really leaning into player development. And I have the strong sense that we could end up seeing ourselves in a hybrid spot this year, where we're seeing the young players get a lot of playing time, and we're still like winning games. And that balance, when we get to the point where we're having to deal with like winning championships or competing for conference finals or whatever the scenario, but we also need to keep developing young players. Coaches don't like to do both things, but for the Thunder, development is the lifeblood of the process. So I think even though we're like, oh, we're going to go for it, we're going to go for it while we're developing the young players. Those minutes can't go away just because we're trying to compete.
Yeah, and I love watching these videos. And if you guys haven't seen them all over Twitter of the Thunder having practices, right? And in the background, you'll see the players playing. They call it king on king. We call it cutthroat. Basically 2-on-1. I absolutely love that style because it creates an intensity. You have to be intense. You have to go harder than the other people in order to get points up there. And you see in the background Usman Jang, and he's going up against, I think it was Baisley and somebody else. But this is what this team needs. And you see when they're practicing, it's all out. Like it's not just, jogging and all this other stuff. Like everybody is going game speed in practice. And if you look at how that's translating into games, right? It's making everybody else work harder. And you're seeing this mentality that this team is starting to believe that this is a playoff team. And we keep on winning, man. And there's no doubt that we're obviously making the playoffs, but at what spot and what juncture are we going to end up being able to peak at? And I think that's the key to what we believe that this team is doing and is getting better per month. And if you look at what we're doing per month and the strength that we're getting better at, I can't help but wonder if our peak is going to be right around that April time period. And if that's the case, man, then the NBA is going to be on notice because if we're peaking around that time and we're sitting at a 6, 5, 4, third seed, I mean, who knows? I mean, seriously, like if we're peaking at that right time and we playing against other teams that are just trying to tank, like the sky's the limit for this team.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of basketball to be played, but a couple of comments here that I think are key is that first we got to get that playoff experience as soon as possible. That will help. But
Yes,
also when we get
absolutely.
our big men back, right? We're missing Poku, JRE, and someone else, bro.
Chet.
Chet.
You shouldn't forget Chet, bro. You should never forget Chet.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
We'll have a hell of a rookie class for 3 years in a row. I mean, and it's exciting, man. It's exciting to think about the potential. Obviously, the Clippers are playing good right now, so we don't want to get too excited about swapping that pick because Kawhi is playing right now. But we'll see how long that lasts, and we can get
That's the
excited
key
about
there,
that.
man. We'll
Yeah.
see how long that lasts.
But man, we gotta ramp up. We gotta ramp up the enthusiasm in the stadium. To me, like I see, there's so many empty seats. I hear Loud City.
Right.
I don't think there's many empty ones in Loud City, but the rich people seats, bro. It's not looking great for the Thunder, bro.
Well, I mean, whenever are the rich people seats really going crazy? I mean, like once in a while you'll see a stadium that they're all going
Playoffs.
crazy, but
Playoffs.
yeah, man, like this is when you need to put like tasers in people's seats. You know what I'm saying? And like they sit too long on them and just jolt them up out of there, dude. Like it's embarrassing sometimes looking at some fans out there. But I have to say is that the energy that we are getting from the upper levels and stuff like that, you can tell like people are starting to believe. There's this vibe about it. And we had a listener that went to a Denver game the other day, and he said that he was chanting SGA for MVP. You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they said that Denver people didn't like that.
No,
Like,
but
man, go for that shit, man. We have to be heard.
let's go down memory lane. When you were living in Denver, bro,
Yeah, yeah.
this guy named Russell Westbrook showed up,
Oh yeah.
and
Good old
there was
Russ.
a particular game where he knocked them out of the playoffs,
Yes.
right? And secured his average of a triple double for the season for the first
So
time,
beautiful. 50
right? That
points.
Steven Adams handoff three, and they gave him a standing ovation and chanted MVP as their hearts were broken.
Bro.
So it can happen.
I
Denver can chant SGA MVP, and they might. It just has to break their hearts.
I have to say this is that my neighbor, who was a very big Nuggets fan, when I lived there, I lived over for those people that know Denver, Camden Lane over there. There's a grocery
Cherry
store.
Creek area.
Yeah, Cherry Creek area. There's a grocery store right over there, and there's a Chick-fil-A. You guys will know what I'm talking about. But I lived right in that area there. And my neighbor, man, he was really cool. But when we beat them that year, I mean, he pulled out his flag off of his thing, threw it down on the ground. I mean, he was pretty upset, like what Russ did. And then like 3 hours later, he wrote me a text about how good Russ was and how lucky we were to have a player like Russ. And I mean, I remember those days, of feeling so incredibly lucky that we had a player like Russ. And then as everything just started trading, and then we got Chris Paul, and I remember like searching for that player. Now we have Josh Giddey, now we have Shea, now we have J-Dub, now we have Dort, now we have Chet and Poku, and bro, the list goes on. And this team is so fun to watch. They're all incredible personalities of understanding of who these guys are, and I can't help but get excited about the future for these young men, because I've bought in, just like you guys have. I mean, every single one of you guys that respond and talk to us and do this other stuff with us and interact with us, you guys all believe, because it's contagious. Like it's this belief idea that this team is going further than we all recognize. And tonight, when we play against the Hawks and a team that's 500 right now, I'm telling you guys, the Hawks have no idea what's coming. They have no idea. Trae Young hasn't run this hard since he's been in college, and he's going to be running all over the court just trying to get an open shot, because that's how our defense plays, and it's going to be fun. If Trae Young plays, because if I'm coach, I'm saying, hey, Trae, sit this one out. I don't want you to run, 2 games worth in this game.
Yeah, Chris, we agree with you. SGA is the superstar. Thunder up, baby, every single time.
All day.
What a month for us. Like, I feel like this month we've kind of just flipped the whole narrative. And like we were hanging in the wings and just waiting for our moment to move. So when I look at these next 3 games, I think very quickly, we could find ourselves either thrust into the playoff race or kind of out of the playoff race. If we go 0-3, bro, like it's not like it's over, but it's going to take a lot of work with all the congestion up there to really get back in there. So I'm excited about this opportunity. When we feel later on in the life cycle of this team that we should win every game and that we should be conference championships, being in this position won't feel good. But right now, not knowing what can happen, I wake up every day thinking about this. I go to bed thinking about it. I fucking dream about this. This is, to me, it's beyond like a regular obsession, bro.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, like with this team and the way that we're going and the way that we're feeling everything. It's like it's like foreplay of sorts, like you're almost there, and then you're like, oh, dropping back in 11th place. Oh, but we're 1 game back from, like Chris Simmons says, we're 1 game back from the 6th place, and it's like I don't know, man, getting touched in that tweener spot for the very first time. Like you're like, damn, like we're gonna do this, right? Like It's nothing else better than that right there for the first time, baby.
All right, man. Yes, we want to see Lindy Waters play great. We love watching Lindy Waters
Oh,
play
we
great.
love Lindy, bro.
We do,
Lindy's
for
the man.
sure. It's been a great ride with him. There was like moments last year where we were bringing in so many G League players, so many 10-day concerts, contracts. Like I think we had some COVID contracts that came in, like all this stuff, and it was like we knew somebody was gonna stick, and we all hoped it was Lindy, but we had
Love Lindy.
Diakite, we had this guy, we had that guy, and we weren't sure who was gonna stick. And like obviously, Presti's like Lindy's got the characteristics, the qualities, and the ability. I hope personally that when you hear like what's his name for the Bulls, Caruso, talking about Sam Presti and the interactions he had and how much it helped him, make it to the NBA. I hope that Lindy Waters is using like that as inspiration for what he can do too. Because if he played defense like Caruso, bro, and he's starting to key in, bro. He's got game.
Lindy Waters, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated players that's playing in the NBA right now. His shot, his defense, the way he rebounds, the way he gets up the court, the way he sees the court. Yes, I am partial because he comes from Oklahoma. I get it, but to me, I want there. Oh, I say to me, but always there always is a player that is homegrown on a team, especially when it's borderline dynasty or borderline making to the playoffs. Like there's always that one player. You think about the Cardinals with Freeze, and you think about some of these other teams that have come and gone, and they're like, oh yeah, we had one or two of those guys that grew up watching and were fans of the team. And I look at Lindy Waters, and he's had a lot of interesting circumstances in his life, you could say, and he has overcome that. And one of the greatest stories on this team is Lindy Waters, and the fact that he played with Trey Young in high school and was able to overcome being like the second player on that team, and then some other issues. But the way that Lindy Waters play, he needs to get more time. And I agree, Lou Dort has to be an all NBA defender, defensive team. His ability is out of this world on defense, and he needs to get more recognition for it.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, they do hate him, Travis. They do hate him. I don't know why. He does miss a lot of shots inside the paint, and like if you could think back about what people were really critical about Russ, it was always missed shots. So I think it's somewhat of the same vein of Barry Trammell, kind of like trying to say like we would win every game if we just like shifted all Lou Dort shots to SGA, and that makes sense, but it's just not that
Do you
easy.
remember Russ, his first 4 years, whatever it was? Do you remember him? Like, he would drive so hard and he would just barely miss the shot, barely miss the layup.
Yeah, but when it missed, right?
Yeah.
It was like some of them would be such spectacular misses that clanged off the rim or the backboard, and such like it was almost like Kevin Garnett had blocked the shot.
That's what I was gonna say. Like he would have thrown it off the backboard so hard it would yeah.
It would explode.
But that's what the thing is. I see with Dort, like he's like right there, like his explosion getting to the hole, and then with the way that he's almost finishing. Like to me, it's like keep doing that, because when it all starts clicking, that's when everything starts clicking.
Right, and that playmaking thing that we keep talking about is the next step for him, right? He's getting there, and sometimes finishing through contact over two defenders is really, really hard. So finding a way to find the open cutter at that right moment means that they're going to be on balance when you're off. But that's just the next step, and he's getting there, and he has to demand being guarded before you can make plays. You can't make plays if they're not defending you.
Yeah, and Chris, I want to say this with that is Lou Dort is our Dylan Brooks. Yes, you're absolutely right in that aspect. I just feel like the way that Dylan Brooks plays and the way that Dort plays, to me, I see more of a leadership aspect with Dort, a quiet leadership aspect with Dort. That to me, it rings so much better with a team and having a leader like Shea. They're not butting heads. They don't have this, weird intensity about the way he plays. So yes, Lou Dort is our Dylan Brooks, but I feel like he's almost going to be a better version of Dylan Brooks.
Right, like when I played a long time ago in high school, right? Like I tried to play on the edge that you see Dylan Brooks play on, and sometimes you can lead your whole team over the edge. And like think about like this whole Shannon Sharp thing with the Lakers, and Dylan Brooks was the guy flipping him off. Dylan Brooks was the guy yelling "F you" and all this stuff. Like my point is like that edge can sometimes backfire. We see Draymond Green go over the edge and stuff like that. Whereas Dort is like Ron so Artest. Focused on his craft, right? Like that he's not going to make it all about him and distract from the team. At least I've never seen that moment. I mean,
Yeah, and you look at every team in history, and this is something that Chris Simmons has said. You know, you need a player like Dort on a championship caliber team. I mean, every team in history, and you can go through any sport. You know, like that's across the board. Like there's a certain type of mentality that Lou Dort brings to the table, and it's that quiet veteran mentality that again, I listen. The way that him and Shea interact, the way that him and Trey Mann and all these other guys, like, I get excited. I watched in the summer, not the summer league, but it was the summer practicing, and Lou Dort schooled Trey Mann real hard, right? Okay, and then there was a foul called on the down on the other side, and then Lou Dort pulls Trey Mann aside and telling him what to do on better on defense. This is the type of mentality that you need, you know, instead of that aggressive attacking mentality sometimes of like, in your face. I call it the Patrick Beverly mentality. Like not every team needs a player like that, and that's where I feel like Dylan Brooks is borderline right on that mentality.
yeah, and Kenrich too, for
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Shout out. Reading comments here, and also Robert,
yes.
Game 7, he was the best player. But think about
He
everything
was.
we went through in that playoff series. Think about the way the Rockets tried to embarrass Dort out of shooting, and the way the team continued to encourage him to keep shooting. How he overcame it. There were bad games, there were good games, and that Game 7, to me, was the start of the next year. He came back and was like, "I'm going to be such a better player that it's going to be unrecognizable," and he has been. Like, I dare any team to leave him as open as the Rockets did. Dude, I mean, honestly, if they did that and they
There's
didn't
no
care
way
if he
team.
made, he would
Yeah,
score
no
50.
team's gonna do that.
He would score 50.
Yeah.
Like, because he is not like someone you want to leave open for a three anymore.
No.
Like, I understand some people like, oh, he shoots too many. But when he has time, like he did against the Rockets, bro, he would make him pay.
I think that's the thing that we've seen a couple teams back off on him, and once in a while Lou Dort go like 1 for 6 or 1 for 7, but consistently when people teams back off on him, he'll go like 3 for 4 or 3 for 5, and you'll see this uptick in stuff. So for me, if I'm a coach, I'm out there playing on him.
Right.
I'm not letting him have
Yeah,
that
I
shot.
mean, you don't want to
And if you
jump
think
at
about
him,
it,
but you want to close out on him.
and they think about closing out the game recently that we just played that we barely closed out, but at the end of the game, and some of the end of the games, we're seeing Lou Dort out there, who can hit that three. You're seeing Isaiah Joe who can hit that three. You're seeing Josh Giddey who can hit that three. Uh, our big men, Jay Will, he can hit that three. Mike Muscala can hit that three. And why are we doing that? We're putting Shea around all these shooters because now they can't collapse. Now they can't double team Shea, and Shea's just taking over in that last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and that's why he's killing in clutch points. I cannot say this enough, is that the way that Coach D is coaching this team and allowing Shea to get to that open lane so much is the reason for everything. And again, you watch everything else. You watch how these guys are spreading out and getting into those open lanes on the 3-point shot when Josh goes down the lane and skips past it and does his other things that he does, allowing Shea to touch the ball yet again. And I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I do think Usman will play tonight. Dave and I talked about this for a second, and I don't know that Dave thinks like to expect him. I mean, he's obviously on the bench for a reason.
A
I
few
do
points,
think he'll play.
a few minutes. I mean,
Yeah, I think he'll play. I think they'll give him that opportunity because otherwise they would probably have left him in like the G League situation. But
he
I
played
don't
really
know.
good. If you guys haven't seen that game, go watch that G League that he just got finished playing last night, the night before. He scored like 20 points, did a really good job. He's been playing really well in that G League.
And yeah, as far as like Dort going through a slump, yeah, I mean, obviously, but I think the slump is a result of different looks by the defense. I think they're treating him differently, and he's having to learn. Every player goes through these, and I've heard Coach Dagnall be incredibly honest with reporters about the fact that they're working with Dort about which of these shots are good shots and which ones aren't. Like usually coaches don't say that stuff,
No,
and they're really working with Dort, and I think like slump, yes, but more like a mental slump because as soon as he starts, I'd say removing 30, maybe a third of his shots, right, and he starts turning them into passes, like the slump doesn't look like a slump anymore, even
yeah,
though he may not be shooting necessarily better. It just get rid of like a few of these. So I don't. It's not that I want to see him stop driving or stop shooting. I just want to see him just a little bit more efficient. But
yeah.
I would rather him shoot and miss than not shoot. So to me, you got to take the good with the bad, especially when you have a player who creates as many extra possessions on the defensive end as Dort.
Yeah, and you guys are absolutely right. The way Chris, Mwani, Unk, you guys are dead on. Like Isaiah Joe is amazing. I've said this before. I feel like he's one of the better shooters off the bench, if not the best shooter off the bench, outside of the baby Curry. So to me, like I look at the way that he's able to separate and the way he's able to get in to the lanes that he needs to. And then obviously you have Shea and Josh and all these guys and Kenny Hustle, who's, I mean, enormously amazing at finding Isaiah Joe. I think he finds Isaiah Joe probably more than anybody else out there. So seeing Isaiah Joe and the way he's shooting opens up everything else. Like the other day, 2 games in a row, or 2 or 3 games in a row, 2 of 3 games, he's had 7 for 12. If you think about that, shot 7 for 12 from three. Like, come on, guys. Like that means that Shea has an opportunity at least 5 more, drives to the hole because of it. His defender, Isaiah Joe's defender, can't leave him. And even when he does partly leave him, he's getting wide open from, Josh and Kenny. And yeah, it's amazing to see how Isaiah Joe is really coming into himself and playing. And this goes back to, Coach D for putting him in the spots that he's being successful. This goes back to Sam Presti and Sam Presti going out and getting him. So it's just been a phenomenal job by these guys is putting this team together this year. So, thank you for Josh for putting that up there.
All right, so J Dub, Josh Giddey, yeah. When you're talking about IQ and J Dub, it's pretty incredible, and just the fact that like when he's having a good game, you can tell, and when he's not, he understands, when to give the ball up. And I feel like for this team to go really deep in the playoffs with the crew we see out there, and I'm not saying this year, but just in general, you're gonna need J Dub to be aggressive, and that's a learned skill, and he's gonna have to keep improving it, but when defenses pick up Giddey and Shea further and further, more pressure on them, you got to have that guy. You think back to the way James Harden played against the Spurs that first year when he kind of emerged as like a great player. Is like they were throwing the ball to him and saying, go make plays," and that's what I see in J Dub. And Giddey, yeah, I mean Giddey's part of it. Like this whole trying to take good shots. When a player like Giddey talks about it, it's infectious. So take the good shots, focus in on that. That's for sure. And it looks like John's here. So what's up, John?
What's up, John? He's our little brother, representing Ireland. He lives in Ireland with his family. So thanks for stopping by, John. But this is what we were talking about earlier, is the way that Trae Young gets up and down that court, the way this offense gets up and down the court. Obviously, having somebody like Capella having to be that person that pushes that center to get up the court. Listen, Capella's going to get his, if he plays, he's going to get his 15 and 14 or whatever. Like, that's just going to happen. But getting him to work for that and getting him fouls and all this other stuff that the Thunder do, I think it's going to slow that game down for him. So I think when a push comes to shove is the brand of basketball that Atlanta plays, I think fits how we play our defense and how we play our offense, and it's going to bring them an enormous amount of trouble. And I love it when we play at home, and I love our fan base and the way they cheer. So I do think that this is going to be one of those games that at least I hope that Shea's going to be able to flex his muscles and show everybody what's up.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't know Clint Capella was either out or back, so I don't really. It's kind of like I look at the lineup as like when the game's getting ready to start, because even if players are playing, they might not play against us. We know that like coming into it a lot of times. So it's really sketchy. But like obviously I don't know who we're going to start. Is it going to be Moose? Is it going to be Jay Will? Is it going to be Kenny? Like who's going to start at the 5? But to me, that's the revolving door right now is the 5. Everything else seems like it's pretty calmed down. So yeah, and so who they start is obviously gonna have a big play into that. But man,
I'm pumped, man. We've got 15 people on here. I just want to say thanks, guys, for showing up. We're gonna start doing this more often, and especially on weekends where we can get a lot more people to join us, because we had a lot of people write us and let us know that they weren't gonna be able to join us. We just want to come and just talk to you guys, and sometimes we feel like we're just talking to ourselves on the podcast, which we are, but now being able to interact with you guys as you guys bring up stuff, and I'm looking at the way that we're able to do this, and I'm sorry, Robert Middlebrooks, you're right. John Collins and Clint could be an issue for us, but I look at the way that we deal with Embiid and some of these other guys, and I think that we go about the same way of playing aggressive in that middle of the zone, making things difficult. Yeah, they could go off and have great games themselves, but the way that we play defense on the guards is going to really cause issues. So, anyways, but thank you guys. We really do it means a lot to us to be able to look on here and see 14, 15, 17 people that have popped on throughout the time, and understanding that we get to watch the game tonight, and we get to talk about the game tomorrow, and we'll be able to talk with you guys in the future about games coming up, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. It's exciting. We're really geared into looking at the last part of this month and really, really eyeing like what it's going to take to win these next 3 games, or at least 2 of the 3. Yep. I think every Thunder fan is looking at that. We all realize we're so close to being in the real playoff hunt. So we just want to like carry that momentum,
bask in that, baby,
and see how many people out there love us as much as we love the Thunder. Right? Like we want to like be a part of a community. We don't feel like we're leading anything. Like we love you guys as much as you love us, because like all these people commenting right now, all these people who stop by our videos, like, look, we've been doing this, bro, for like years. Like we just got on YouTube and we started like realizing that other people wanted to hear what we have to say. It's kind of a new experience. Podcasting is it's a lonely endeavor a lot of times, and all of a sudden we have like hundreds of people showing up and telling us like we love the Thunder too. Like this is all new for us, bro. All new in a big way. Like starting this month, like it feels like everything just like started. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
and I appreciate you guys letting us know the love. We all we want, like Mark said, is a community of people that we trust and that we like and that we can talk about the Thunder. That's it, and I just appreciate it. Like, again, having encouragement is one thing, but to the point where I'm taking snap photos of it and I'm bettering myself because of it. Like, this is exactly what motivation is all about. And as we're going through this, like my goal is just to motivate you guys in the aspect of loving this team as much as we do, because it's all about that. Is if you have a team, a Thunder team or a football team or a basketball or whatever, and things are going well with that team, things are better in life. And I think that's the best thing to really understand, is that this team is going to be winning a lot really, really soon. And the good times are definitely coming soon. And I cannot wait because, like our fan base, I don't want to say we deserve it most because it's only been 2 years since we've been to the playoffs, but like we deserve this because of the way that you guys have consistently been here for us. So thanks again for coming around, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk about the game.
We'll be back. And no, I don't think Chet should play if we make it to the playoffs. Let's save him. That's a good question, though. I ask myself that question all the time. We got to get out of here, guys.
Yes.
We will be back, and we're going to do this more often. We'll figure out the details. If you stuck with us, at the beginning, we didn't know what we were doing. Now, I feel like we're pros, bro. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We will see you soon.